stirring the peach creatine and electrolyte mix with chopsticks using the vortex method. The only true way to optimize the taste of your creatine and peach electrolyte. At the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, peach creatine. Nice.
Nice.
Love this phrase from Lewis Carroll's story, Alice in Wonderland. "There is no use trying," said Alice. "One can't believe impossible things." "I dare say you haven't had much practice," said the Queen. "When I was your age, I did it for a half hour a day. Why, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast." It's interesting, right? If people don't laugh at your dreams and goals, then your goals are too small. I say pick goals and dreams that are really high, really big. Things that seem a little bit unattainable. Don't worry about realistic. Go for a little bit unattainable. You will unconsciously rise to the occasion. If you are a man that practices excellence in your life, in your body, in your relationships, in your home, in the cozy nook, then that is possible for you. Dream on. Most of you are only familiar with aluminum foil. You know, when people call you a tinfoil hat? You know what tinfoil hats are made of? Tin. Aluminum doesn't stop the aliens and the Illuminati from talking to you. Oh, foolish ones. A message from a Russian brother. "Brothers in Christ, I want to send you all a big greeting from Russia. A simple Russian guy watches your video and is happy that somewhere far away in America, there's also Orthodox Christians. And therefore, we are very similar. We have one God and he arranges everything in the best way for us. Just know that in Russia, no one considers America their enemy. Although some processes are alarming, you know what they are. But it can't last long. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you." Thank you, my brother. And we don't think that you are bad. You know, I'm not crazy about governments. I like the people. I just don't like the governments. Can anything good come out of a government? Seriously, think about it. Donald Trump launches a digital health tech ecosystem to bring healthcare into the digital age. With trusted partners like OpenAI, Amazon, Anthropic, Apple, Microsoft AI, and Google. Gee, what could possibly go wrong with that? Remember vax passports, Google tracking, job firings, not getting jobs if you were not jabbed, roadblocks, mask mandates. Motherfuckers have a short memory, don't they? I don't. You can forgive, but you don't have to forget. You know how you look at your phone and the weather app will say that there's a heat advisory? Well, I came up with a Hoe Advisory. We should have that. Stay indoors unless you're immune to drama. Approach with caution and a prenup. Swipe left for safety. High heels and higher body counts expected. May cause wallet shrinkage. Avoid eye contact and free drinks. Mask up. The thirst is airborne. There's a severe risk of entanglements, and the local simp population will be under strain. A Hoe Advisory. Usually from Friday to Sunday, there's a big Hoe Advisory. I encourage everyone to be skeptical. You know, even if you don't want to call yourself a conspiracy theorist, there's no shame in it. And if people shame you for asking questions, guess what? That means you're getting close to a truth that they don't want exposed. So don't stop pointing out the inconsistencies. Don't stop pointing out the tyranny. Let it rip, man. Let it rip. Those that know, know. The recent natural disasters that we've experienced, I'm not so sure that they are natural. And I'm just planting that seed for future reference. It's already known that weather can be manipulated. So I'm not so sure that every storm, every tsunami every wildfire is an act of God. It might be an act of government.
Wake the fuck up.
That's a possibility.
Wake the fuck up.
Sir, you are not her therapist or her pastor. You have much more impact on her than any therapist or pastor. However, if her therapist or pastor is piloting her, find this out quickly. She'll break up with 5 men, but never break up with her therapist or pastor. Understand this and prosper. But if someone is chirping in her ear, she's emotionally bonded to them more than you. Think about that. You're always going to be the side character in her story, no matter how good you treat her. Therapists and pastors can be invisible puppeteers pulling her strings. She'll ditch a boyfriend in a weekend, but she never misses that Tuesday therapy session or a Sunday sermon that validates her feelings and helps justify her actions. If you're dating a woman, find out early on who is steering the ship. And if it's not you, you need to run to the hills. Run for your life. I will never stop saying date long, marry slow, and divorce fast if you're going to get divorced. I'm not a proponent of divorce, but I'm saying if you've already decided as a couple that you're going to be divorced, you need to do it fast. Because most of the trauma that men experience happens in the divorce process. It's not so much losing the woman, but it's losing the marriage and the chaos of the process that really kills a man. And remember, why date long and marry slow? Because it can take years for crazy to come out or contention to come out. You know, I've seen crazy come out in as little as 2 months and as long as 4 years. There is a possibility that she's on her best behavior, but she can't be on her best behavior for much longer than 3 or 4 years if you're dating. People say, what are you going to date forever? You know, if a woman is pressuring you to get married, let me put it this way. If she's pressuring you to get married, she's on the verge of losing her shit. And you're going to see that in the way that she overreacts in a disproportionate way. I remember one gal screamed at me for not taking my shoes off when I entered her house. She made the decision that shoes are taken off at the door. And one time I didn't do it. Son of a gun. You would think World War III happened with the way that she yelled at me. And I'm thinking, holy cow, what if I married this? Is this what I would be living with? A woman yelling. Yowza. That's not going to happen. I think I said this last week. After a beautiful time of lovemaking, he noticed she was really into it. And he said, you probably would like that every day, wouldn't you? Her response was, yeah, that would be nice. Note that they were intimate 1 to 2 times a week. Okay? And he just kind of made that comment, like, yeah, you'd probably like that every single day. And she said, yeah, I would. 1 week later, she divorced him. I will tell you that women, I said this, about 2 years ago, women want it good and often. And I'm not even making a sexual comment. I'm not making like a dirty comment here. He was faithful, loving, and handsome. He took her out to dinner weekly. He had a nice relationship. And then this. These are the kind of stories that I hear daily. And the trad guys, the traditional guys, especially the trad Catholic guys, will say, well, just marry a woman that doesn't believe in divorce. Show me a woman that does believe in divorce. Nobody ever goes to the altar thinking that they're going to get divorced. No one ever says, well, if this doesn't work out, we'll just get divorced. Women file for divorce 70% of the time, up to 90% of the time, if they are graduate school educated. Interesting, right? Here's a guy in a group that I belong to. It's an online motorcycles group. He goes, I need some advice. I've been begging my wife to let me buy a motorcycle for a few years now, and I finally convinced her to let me pick up the Honda off Facebook Market for $1,300. And then he tells about the bike that he bought. But man, he got off on the wrong foot there. I've been begging my wife to let me buy a bike for a few years now. Does she make you sit at the table and you can't leave until you finish all your food? Does she send you to bed early if you've been a bad boy? You've been begging your wife? You already know what I'm going to say. There will be no begging. Let me make it closer. There will be no begging. There will be no simping. Nobody is going to advocate harder for you than you. Think about this, my brother, whether in business, personal issues, relationships, or medical. In the same way, you must be your own primary care physician. You must also be your own agent. You must be your own consigliere, your own publicist. Think about it. You have to take care of you. No one else is going to do it. Keep that in mind. When it comes to women, basic femininity, nurturing, kindness, and grace, it's so rare that it's kind of shocking when you see it. No wonder guys are opting out of dating. You know why? Because peace and freedom beat walking on eggshells with a gal. Table for one, the table for one lifestyle. You know, for many modern men, it's not about loneliness, it's about luxury. And we will protect our peace because a man settles where he has peace. Do we like attractive women? Yes. You know, there's universally attractive women. There's the kind of women that most people say, yeah, she's beautiful. But that doesn't matter. If you're still in the game of trying to find a woman, a girlfriend, maybe get married, start a family, the only thing that matters is she beautiful to you? It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, okay? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But I will tell you, find a beautiful woman who's not peaceful, who's argumentative, who tries to school you, who calls you judgmental, a Christian woman who doesn't think that your faith is strong enough. I'll tell you what, a peaceful woman, a faithful and loyal woman, and you know I'm not one to put a number on women. You know how like guys will rate a woman on a scale of 1 to 10. Oh, she's an 8. Oh, she's a 6. She's a 3 at best. You know, like this kind of stuff. I don't usually do that. That is truly objectifying another human being. The reason why I don't want to do it is because I don't want it done to me. There's a good rule right there. Do you want it to be done to you? Well, then don't do it to someone else. But I will tell you this. A peaceful woman is worth her weight in gold. Scriptures say, a virtuous woman who can find, an excellent wife who can find, for her price is far above rubies. That's in Proverbs 31. The interesting thing about that is, it's asking the question, a virtuous wife who can find. It's asking the question. Why is it asking the question? Because they're hard to find. Even the author of that chapter in Proverbs said they are hard to find. And if you find one, you hang on to them. But they're hard to find. But if you find one, hang on to her. Did you ever have a good woman slip through your fingers? I did twice in my lifetime. And I kicked myself in the butt both times. And, you know, people sometimes say, well, don't make those regrets. There's plenty of fish in the ocean and all this kind of stuff. And my response used to be, yeah, that's cool, but who wants to date a fish? Or I would say stuff like, you know, there's 3.5 billion in the world and you're worried about one. I had 2 good women in my life that I let go. And one early when I was a young man, let her slip through my fingers. And then one a little bit later in life that I know would have made a wonderful wife. But I wasn't at that place in my life. Now, should you wait if you're not at that place where you can commit? I think you can work on it. I do. I think some people are worth working on. You know, it's worth it for you to work on yourself. I know if I am in a solid relationship, I go to the gym more, which I can't stand that connection between me taking care of myself and being in a relationship. I should do it regardless in a relationship or not. But I'm always trying to optimize myself, but I need to disconnect that from the relationship status. It's something that I have struggled with as a man. But I will tell you, a peaceful woman, a good woman, some people say there's no good women, there's just women. I get that. I understand that. I don't go that far. But, you know, in the dating world, what most men are thinking, but they're too afraid to say out loud, but we're not afraid to say it here, that the modern dating pool feels like a performance review, and men are sick of auditioning for women who bring in attitude instead of peace, femininity, and warmth. Don't you want to hear good morning from your woman? Don't you want to hear that? Good morning. Little smile, bright eyes. Good morning. You're sitting down reading your book, your newspaper. You have your cup of coffee right here. And you started reading an hour or two before she even gets up. And then she comes downstairs while you're in your study or at the kitchen table, checking the news, checking your email, doing a Daybreak show, whatever. And she just comes up and stands alongside you and then just gives you a little kiss on the side of your face and says, good morning. A lot of guys dream about that. And it's peaceful, isn't it? Like the last thing you want to hear is someone complaining first thing in the morning or when you first walk in the door. And so many women don't understand how they come off. And it just makes a man defensive and say, holy crap, what did I get myself into? Now, men can be the same way. I mean, if you're a bitchy guy, if you're just always in a bad mood, like some guys are always in a bad mood, and you might have put on the charm to get a woman, but your default state is just being a bitchy, irritable, emotional guy, then, you can be the problem. It is very possible that you are the problem. I will say that. So look at yourself before you start judging other people, women and men. Where do you stand in your life? Are you a top 10%, 5%, 3%, 1% man? It's possible. All of you guys have the potential of being a top percentile man. What do you need to do to become the best version of yourself? Will a 20 pounds lighter version of you feel better, sleep better, attract different people? Will you move different? Will you walk different? Will you have less aches and pains? Will the guy that stops drinking alcohol, like if you literally quit drinking alcohol, even if you're not an alcoholic, I'm just talking like myself. I social drank for over 50 years. I stopped drinking alcohol. I don't get drunk. I don't get tipsy. I don't get anything. And I'll tell you what, I don't miss it, but I do miss the ritual of making a drink. I do miss the ritual of having a glass of wine with dinner, going out and ordering a beer, although I don't go out much anymore except for table for one. I don't go to bars anymore. I used to love live music, but live music is always, like if there's like a summer concert in a park, that's a different story. At a concert venue, that's a different story. But, the average like bar that has a band playing, which I love. I did that most of my adult life, go to see live bands. And what do? You drink and eat junk, chicken wings and beer and some shots and that kind of stuff. It's crazy, isn't it? And you have to learn to be happy without sedating yourself. Can you have fun without alcohol? Is it possible? I contend that it is possible. Now, is this true? All women are single and available. It just depends on who's approaching her. A guy is only a creepy pest if he's not attractive to her. Is that true? Yes or no? I will say this, ladies, because now we have 10% of my audience is women, according to my analytics. Ladies, you can help heal your man with steak, eggs, and real butter. If you love your man, learn how to cook a steak and do it the right way. You will get a new man in 30, 60, 90 days. Steak, eggs, and butter. Be creative. Learn how to use different spices. But the key thing is learn how to cook a steak properly. Don't overcook it. Please don't overcook your steak. But you can heal your man. You will have a new man in 3 months if you feed him properly. Now, I know some of you say, well, I don't cook, or he does all the cooking. That doesn't mean, well, actually, when I hear that, I hear you say, I don't want to cook. Okay, that's fine. How about learning how to cook? How's that sound? You went and got a master's degree. You went and got a certification. You won awards. Learn how to cook. It's not hard. It's not hard. simple things. Some of the more crass ways of that men describe what they want. They say, stomach full, balls empty. Okay, that's kind of crass, but, keep your expectations simple, gentlemen. Like, don't get fat and unattractive. This is what I expect. Like, I expect a woman to stay attractive to me. Does she have to be attractive by the world's standards? No. But just stay attractive to me. Don't get fat. Don't get unhealthy. Number 2, never embarrass me in public. Ever embarrass me. Never, ever, ever embarrass me in public. And number 3, don't ever deny me intimacy. Does that mean sex? Does that mean like whenever I want sex, you're going to give it to me? No. I'm talking just good old-fashioned intimacy. If I go to hold your hand and you pull away, that's denying me intimacy. And if you're young, obviously there's a lot of sex. As you get older, there's not as much. But, and I disagree with the guys who say that sex is the glue that holds marriages together. I completely 100% disagree with that. I say romance and intimacy. What if you get to the point where you don't have much of a sex drive, if your libido is down? Or what if you're older? What if you're injured? You're not going to be inserting A into B. That ain't going to happen a lot. Let me put it that way. But you can still be intimate. You can still hold each other. You can still give each other back rubs. You can still make each other physically comfortable and do pleasing things to each other. It doesn't always have to be intercourse. So don't get fat, stay attractive. Don't embarrass me in public. And don't deny me intimacy, because that cuts to the soul. And that's what crushes a man's soul, is that when he is rejected like that. And there's nothing that makes a man feel more like Superman. Well, there's a few things that make a man feel like Superman, and that's earning a lot, having success, building something that he can be proud of, whether it be a house, a shed, fixing a car, an engine, or a relationship, a marriage. Stuff like that doesn't happen automatically by itself. No matter how attracted you are to each other, relationships are still, I don't want to say they're work, but they do take some effort. And I think that's important. When you start to enjoy your own company and you're somewhat comfortable with solitude, then there's no hurry to want to fill that space with anything inferior. There's nothing wrong with making up a fake Latin phrase here. Nothing wrong with friendius platonicus. Every male-female relationship doesn't have to lead to something. Everything doesn't have to lead to intercourse. Doesn't have to. Let your heart find its bearings and reset your internal compass. I have found that most single people today, even married people, are suffering from relationship PTSD. And the only way to alleviate this is to create a reset and reboot your life. I once heard a very good marriage counselor. I'm not a fan of marriage therapists and counselors at all. I heard one say, and I enjoy their work. They said, sleep nude with your spouse every night for 2 weeks and your relationship will change. What? Just the exchange of physical energy, feeling the heat and the vibe, and I'm not talking about woo-woo new age nonsense, but just comforting each other. I don't know if you're the kind of person that wants to be alone in bed, like don't touch me, or you always have to have a foot touching her, or have your hand underneath the small of her back or something like that. You have to be in contact. I find myself like that. I just got to have, even if it's just like my pinky touching my wife while we're sleeping, it just is comforting for me. And I will never forget when I got divorced one time, I dreamt that I was still married, and I reached over and there was no one there. And I got scared for a second, just for a split second. It's like, she's not there. And then I remembered I'm divorced. And it freaked me out for a second. So you have to retrain your brain for the lack of intimacy if you're a single guy. Many guys are so used to it now. So many guys have just tapped out of it that I think it's one of those things where when you get used to having peace in your life, you want nothing to disrupt it. Isn't that right? You just don't want to disrupt the peace that you're currently enjoying. And I know women are the same way. But to just have the revolving door on your bedroom and sucking face with randos, just people that you meet here and there, or co-workers and that kind of stuff, I just think it's such an empty way of living, although most of us have done it. Most of us have had, one-night stands and, what do they say, smash and dash, and what are the other ones? Hit it and quit it, ejaculate and evacuate. Very crude ways of describing these encounters. But I think everyone has had, most people I know have had encounters, and it seems like they fill a gap for about 5 minutes. They're comforting for about 5 minutes. And then the loneliness and aloneness sinks in. And I think if you're one that just strings together encounter after encounter after encounter, I think it exacerbates your loneliness because there's no sense of permanence. And as men, doesn't matter how much of a vagabond you are, doesn't matter if you have a restless heart or wandering eyes, we do want a sense of permanence. At nighttime, before I go to bed, I empty my pockets, my change, I take off my watch, I wash my face, brush my teeth, put on my boxer shorts and a t-shirt, and I go to bed. When I wake up in the morning, on my dresser, I want to see my change, my pen, my EDC, my pocket knife, my watch. We like that predictability. And when that predictability is disrupted, it just knocks us off balance. And when we create a nice, peaceful life that's predictable, we have a greater life satisfaction, whether as a single man or a married man. So I love the idea of having ritual in your life that brings peace, and you don't want anything to come and disrupt it. Well, I came to this conclusion: women have a big list of what they want in a man. Men have a big list of what they don't want in a woman. I told you, men and women are different. We process everything different. Our brains are different. There's no dynamic equivalent of a man. A woman acting like a man is not a man. A man acting like a woman is not a woman. One gal said, "I'm just not meeting men." And I said, "That's because you're kind of manly. You're kind of rough. You're acting like a tomboy. And that's nothing to brag about. Act a little more feminine, put on a dress, and watch what happens." How many times have you seen women in dresses in the past 10 years? Not a lot, right? Now, if you go to church, you see women in dresses. Modern churches, not so much. Traditional churches, like an Orthodox church, you might see women in dresses, long dresses. You're not going to see mini skirts. You're not going to see cleavage and ass and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of interesting that if a woman acts more feminine, because I do believe what attracts men and women is the polarity. Men are masculine, women are feminine. When a woman acts more masculine, she repels men. When a man acts feminine, he repels women. Ladies, if you want to attract a man, be more feminine. Men, if you want to attract a woman, be more masculine. That doesn't mean macho. Macho is just a weird maladaptive behavior that nobody's attracted to. It's almost antisocial, I think, to the point where it's almost sociopathic. There's a difference between masculinity and being macho. I have friends who've been married several times, who did a second time around and it didn't work out and then just said, "I'm done." I have one friend who was married 3 times. And on his 3rd time, he was married for 25 years until he died from cancer. And he was happy, and he got it right. And it was as happy as a first marriage should be. And his widow, who I know, she misses him so much, but her memories of him are amazing. And she still wears her wedding band. And in her mind, he is with her. She feels his presence in their house. True love never leaves Think about this. True love never leaves when the lover is no longer. Some will get that. Some will just scratch their heads. Let me ask you this question. Is Utah the best place to live when SHTF happens? What do you think? I'm thinking Utah and Idaho and Montana. What are your thoughts? Someone said, yeah, there's a lot of Mormons there. There's a lot of Second Amendment people there. That's another good thing. Utah could be a good place to live. The most dangerous man to any government is a man who is able to think things out for himself without regard to the prevailing superstitions and taboos. Almost invariably, he comes to the conclusion that the government he lives under is dishonest, insane, and intolerable. And so, if he is romantic, he tries to change it. Romantics always try to change things. And if he's not a romantic personality, he is apt to spread discontent amongst those who are. It's a quote from H.L. Mencken, who lived from 1880 to 1956. Did you ever look at your toothpaste tube and you think, if I can get one more brushing out of that if I just squeeze it a little bit harder, right? You don't want to just throw, if you can get one more toothbrushing out of that toothpaste tube, you don't want to throw it out. You kind of squeeze it and you manipulate it and you'll be able to get one more toothbrush covered with toothpaste. You can do that with yourself. If you push yourself a little bit more, manipulate yourself a little bit more, get up 2 hours early, stay up an hour later, you will see something in yourself that you've never seen before. Do one more rep, 2 more reps, walk an extra half mile, read another page, have one less piece of bread or roll with your dinner. Maybe 1 scoop of ice cream instead of 2. Just push yourself a little bit further, discipline yourself a little bit more, and you're going to see a side of yourself that you never have seen before. And I will end with this. Stay sharp, guys. Never look like you got a haircut. Never look like you need a haircut. If you're a single guy like me and you think you might want to be married someday, you have to work on your aesthetics. Because the first thing a woman sees, if you're still interested in women and being married or being in a long-term committed lifelong relationship, the first thing they see is the aesthetics. That's the first thing they see. You have to take care of yourself. Get a good haircut, get a good beard trim, do red light therapy for your skin and longevity. If you are in sales and marketing, you will have a better closing rate. If you look good, sounds shallow, but that's one of those cold, hard truths. People will receive you better if you are clean, sharp, and handsome. And you will feel better about yourself. Lose the belly. Just get rid of that belly. Every guy over 40 has a little bit of a belly there. Get rid of the belly. Bustle up a little bit. If you are a Christian man, only seek the company of a Christian woman. There's no straying from that. It's not that Christian women can't crush your soul. It's just that you want to be equally yoked. At least have the same values. That's a great place to start. You're not going to change a woman. Don't date a woman thinking that you're going to change her. It's better to inspire her and use the 1,000-foot tow rope. If you're a man of excellence, you will inspire her to be excellent. It is difficult, but there are some gems out there. I'm not going to say the word unicorn. I'd rather say gem. Listen more, talk less. Practice sincerely complimenting other people. Don't compare yourself to other men. And if you do, use it to challenge yourself to be better. Have some kick-ass goals. Get 1% better each week. Figure out what that is and how to flesh that out. Walk with your stomach in, your chest out, your shoulders back, your head held high. Walk 25% faster with a sense of urgency on the job and anywhere you go. You might not have the straightest teeth, like me. My teeth are crooked, but damn it, they're white. You don't have to have the straightest teeth, but you do have to have the whitest teeth. A good smile doesn't mean a straight smile. I mean, it can mean that. But most of us don't want to wear braces. Most of us are imperfect. You can only work on the things that you have control over. You don't have control over crooked teeth, but you have control over yellow teeth. Have white teeth. Kill procrastination. That is my biggest problem, is I put things off. I kick the can down the road. You have to kill procrastination. Eventually, procrastination will cost you money. The only man that you have to beat is the man that you were yesterday, last week, last month, last year. Your biggest competition is you. Be better than you were yesterday. Increase your private piety, not your public piety. Read scripture daily. I remember Billy Graham was asked once, what would you do if you had to do it all over again? He would say, I would read less books about the Bible and read more of the Bible. Sex is awesome. I'll admit that, but there is a time and place for it. Don't deny your sex drive, but rationally delay it and master it. The gorilla should not be sitting in the driver's seat. You know, when I refer to a gorilla, that's talking about your sex drive. Your sex drive should not be behind the wheel driving and its foot on the gas pedal. I said, as a young man, the gorilla is in the driver's seat. When you get a little bit older, the gorilla is in the passenger seat. When you get a little bit older than that, the gorilla is in the back seat. And then when you get really old, the gorilla is either in the trunk or outside the vehicle. But never let your sex drive rule you. If you learn to master that, which is a natural function, you're going to have success in life. Most of your problems have come from relationships. That's why you have relationship PTSD. That's why you're so cynical. You can't do anything about women, sir. There's nothing you can do about women. Bitch and moan all you want. Go start a YouTube channel talking about women. The only thing you have control over is you. Work harder on getting wealth than getting laid. Money is the answer for most problems, but not all problems. Understand female nature and prosper. If you don't, you will be broke. Wise is the man that engages or recruits a woman in his life to be a teammate, not a pretty accessory that you get naked with every now and then. Being skeptical is always better than being cynical. Take a sales course, even if you don't sell. Learn how to sell. It's going to help you in life. Most successful salespeople I know, high level, high value, high tier people, do all of the things that I'm talking about. I don't know any successful, wealthy salespeople with yellow teeth that look like crap. They usually are on point with how they look, how they talk, how they master their impulses. Fight the inner curmudgeon inside of you, the grumpy old man, that irritable, easily triggered bastard that's inside every single man. You have to fight that. Living alcohol-free only has positive effects in your life. Work out with weights, resistance bands, or body weight exercises. Read books 30 minutes a day. Reading is like the gym for the brain. If you're not a church person, just try going to Saturday night Vespers at an Orthodox church. It's usually 5 o'clock. And you can still go out and do whatever you want. 5 p.m. Vespers, which is just a prayer service. That's all it is. Usually lasts less than an hour. Even if you are not an Orthodox person, even if you are not a religious person, there's something about Saturday night Vespers that's going to change you. Trust me on that one. Master your sleep time. You're retiring for the night and you're rising. People say, how do you get up so early? And my response is, that's the easy part. I get up at 4 a.m. That's easy for me. The hard part is going to bed at 8 o'clock. You really do need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, no matter who you are. If you're an adult, you need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Most people walk around with low-level sleep deprivation, which gives them brain fog, probably one of the most overused words in the past 5 years. Everyone talks about supplements that help brain fog. Like I said, I think that's kind of overused, when basically people are just sleep deprived. Most people are suffering from sleep deprivation, but learn how to master your sleep. If you're going to date with a purpose, even if it's just to have a good evening with a member of the opposite sex that's not going to crush you, use you, take advantage of you, judge you, that kind of thing. Sometimes having a cup of coffee and a dessert, or a cup of coffee and an appetizer, something like that, is a positive thing. And what I've said is, like, some guys just want to remain female free. And I'm like, it's okay to have a coffee buddy or a walking buddy. The problem is that one person will always be more attracted than the other person. So if two people can get together that have a good social dynamic, it can be a positive thing. What it's doing is it's retraining and rewiring your brain that females aren't going to hurt you or mess with your life. It's a finite act. It has a beginning time, it has an ending time. And if you do that over a period of time, you may learn how to trust again. Because trusting again is hard for the guy that had his soul crushed, went through a breakup or a divorce. Never make your next woman pay for the sins of the last woman that broke your heart. Never be taken advantage of by a woman. And purposely change, if you can, or evolve what you think is attractive in a woman. If you keep doing what you're doing, you will always get the same kind of results. Try not to stay in pain and despair for long. You are not depressed, you are discouraged. I don't believe in depression. What is the cure for discouragement? Courage. Seek courage. How do you find courage? You do shit that scares the shit out of you. That's it. You come out on the other side with a little more courage than you had. Start your day with a pinch of Baja Gold salt. Just pop it under your tongue, let it melt a little bit, and it gets into your bloodstream fast, and slam a big glass of water. First thing you do. Ideally, room temperature water. If you pull cold water out of the fridge, it's hard to drink a big glass of ice cold water first thing in the morning, but room temperature water goes down beautifully. That will actually wake up your brain even more than caffeine will. Stop using endocrine disruptors on your skin, fragrances, antiperspirants. Guard your heart and your time. Learn how to determine what people are time wasters. Don't give your strength to women, those that can tear down a king. That's from Proverbs. Be as attractive as you can be. Don't compare yourself to others. That's a good start. And with that, finish your creatine, your peach creatine. And I'll see you on the next Daybreak show, the only home of sanity, clarity, and reason.